Okay, you have your foldable for simple interest. It should be folded with 4 tabs. The first tab is your interest vocabulary. Okay, your interest is the amount charged for borrowing or using money. For an example, a car loan, a home loan, savings account, or investments. So before we go ahead and start this lesson, it is important that you understand what interest is. And basically, it's just the cost of borrowing money. So for some reason that Layla needs to borrow $5 from me, I'll give her the $5, but I want $6 back. Okay? That extra dollar would be my interest rate. And $1 out of 5 is 20%, so I charge her a high interest rate. I actually charge her 20% interest rate to borrow $5. Kind of like credit cards. Okay? Or when you go purchase a car, let's say I purchase a car that costs $50,000. When I leave the car dealership, they want $50,000 before I drive off the lot. They want all their money. So I'm going to call a bank and say, can I borrow $50,000? They say yes. They pay the car dealership, and I pay them back monthly the $50,000 plus the interest of borrowing that money. Okay, depending on how long I need the loan, depends on the amount of interest that I pay. If I only want to pay them over 3 years of time versus 5 years of time, the interest may change. Okay, you can also, you also receive interest. So interest is still the cost of borrowing money. So let's say I have $10,000 and I want to put it in a savings account. I would put my $10,000 with Chase Bank because I am actually letting Chase Bank use my $10,000. They're borrowing my $10,000. They're going to pay me interest. When I put $10,000 in a savings account, like if you have a savings account with the bank, they want you basically to put that money in the account for an extended period of time. Okay? No, they don't charge you to have a savings account, which is one of the ways they get over on you, kind of. But when you give them $10,000, they're not actually holding that $10,000 in the bank. They're operating off of your money. And in return, they give you interest. Most cases in a bank, you won't get more than 1% interest on a savings account. Actually, if you get 1%, you're doing pretty good. Okay? You're not getting that much, but because they're borrowing your money, they're paying you interest. So you can receive interest on the part of you're letting somebody else borrow money, or if you are the borrower, you're paying interest. Okay? It's it's the cost of borrowing money. Is everybody okay with that? Okay. Okay, so there's parts to a formula. This formula is in your STAR reference chart. You're not required to memorize it. You will have access to it. It's easy to remember, but if you don't, you have access to this formula. So each part stands for something. I stands for your interest. And your interest is always in dollars, in this case of the formula. Your P is your principal. Not to be confused with your principal, like Dr. PW, that's P-A-L. This is your principal, which is your original amount borrowed or loaned. Then you have your rate, and that's the percent that you will pay or that you will receive. It's given to you as a percent, but you must change it to a decimal for purposes of calculations. And then you have T, which represent time. And be very careful, this time must be in years. So for instance, if you get a question where it asks you about 6 months, I cannot use 6 in that place. I have to change that 6 months to a year's time, which will be 0.5. Okay, so let's try some examples. And we'll start at example 1. And it says, to buy a car, Mitchell borrowed $17,000 for 3 years at an annual simple interest rate of 9%. If it takes him a full 3 years to pay off the loan, how much interest will he, that should say he pay? Okay. Be very careful. This problem is not difficult at all. None of these problems are difficult, especially because you have a calculator. But what the tricky part is paying attention to the details. So before you touch your calculator, I require that you write certain things down. So first we're going to write down the given information. They gave me my principal of $17,000. They gave me the time of 3 years. The rate is 9%, which I want to change that to a decimal, so that's 0.09. And they're asking for the interest. So my formula is I equals PRT. So I want to go ahead and substitute those variables for the numbers that I have. I equals 17,000 times my rate times my time. You are required to write all these things down prior to touching a calculator. It is very important because in order for me to find your errors, that's the only thing that I have to look at. And so I can help. So go ahead and use your calculator and get that number for me. So my interest here would have been $4,590. So make sure you pay attention to the question. It says how much is the interest? That's the question I'm answering. It's $4,590. But if they ask me how much did I have to pay back, I have to pay back the $17,000 that I borrowed plus the $4,590. Okay, so I have to pay them both back. Look at example 2. What I want you to read example 2 and try that one by yourself. Make sure you pay attention to the question. Okay, so you should have the principal of $2,500. Your time is 18 because it did say 18 years. The rate is 0.0375 because I must change my percent to a decimal. I would enter all those things in the calculator. I enter them into the formula first and enter them in the calculator, and I get $1,687.50. But before I circle my final answer, I must go back to the question. And the question says, how much will Keith have in his account after 18 years? Well, after 18 years, he'll have his principal plus his interest. That's how much he would have, which is $2,500 plus $1,687.50. So he will have a total of $4,187.50. That is your answer. If this was a test question or a quiz question that was multiple choice, guarantee that this answer will be here and it will be the wrong answer. Okay, let's say this will be A and that's B. Make sure you pay attention to the question. Okay, let's go on to example 3. It says the bank offers the annual simple interest rate of 7% on a home improvement loans. How much would Tony owe if he borrowed $8,000 for 18 months? 8,000, 18 months, and 7%. So my principal is $8,000 because that's how much my original loan. My rate is 7%, which can also be written as a decimal of 0.07. My time, it says 18 months, but can I leave that as months? No. 1.5. Because that's 1 year and 6 months, which is half of a year. So I must change that. And then the interest is what I'm looking for. So if I were to write this out in the formula, I equals 8,000 times 0.07 times 1.5. Again, make sure you're paying attention to the details, and that will give you $840. What is the question asking?
How much would he owe?
How much would he owe? So then if it was how much he owes what he borrowed. So that's the principal, $8,000, plus my interest of $840, which will equal a total of $8,840. There is my answer.